Grog.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Cider Shed podcast. I'm Matthew Weir, and I'm joined just by Keri Warbis this week. How are you, Keri?
I'm good, thank you. Yeah, just me. Our Peter is AWOL.
Yeah, he's gone to see Highlander the musical at the Octagon Reading, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, I can't believe that he didn't remember that was happening when we arranged to record at this hour on a Friday evening. You'd have thought that would be really high at the forefront of his mind or whatever.
Has he gone with the family or what? Do you know?
No, he's gone with his barber. Yeah, they're very pally.
I'm sure they'll have a great time.
Yeah, can't wait to hear the review.
I guess we should point out as well, this is a little bit of a first, and Peter's missing out on it. We're recording on a Friday night for the first time.
Yeah, it's a double-edged sword, that, isn't it, really? Because Friday nights, you know, what would you normally be doing in Porto?
Well, I work on Saturday morning, so it doesn't carry the clout of Friday nights of old.
True.
So I would probably be in the kitchen with a glass of wine, cooking up some food and listening to the radio. But instead, I'm here talking to you.
With a cider, you've got.
With a cider, yeah.
Yay.
Yeah, one of my most challenging classes is on a Friday. So knowing that we were going to be doing this, I put a few ciders in the fridge when I left the house.
Good man.
We should stress, though, even though Keri has a glass of red wine and I have a cider, this is a work event. We are recording a podcast.
It is a work event. I was supposed to be doing dry January. Of course, that's gone to straight away. Because, well, loads of reasons that I've, justified. But one of them, the fact that I'm going to Seville on the 24th, I'm not going to not drink there. So I just thought, well, this month's a write-off. So I'll try and do it in February instead.
Shorter February, isn't it, as well?
True. Good. Yeah. And I can't do March. My birthday's in March. So
yeah, we've got Carnival here at the end of February. So I get a few days off for that. So maybe I'll do a dry February and try and end it in time for Carnival. We shall see.
Yeah.
So what did you make of the week?
I quite enjoyed it all. I'm trying to think. There was one bit that was a bit, oh my God. And that was to do with what Amy said. But generally speaking, I really enjoyed the whole thing.
Was this when Amy went all street?
Yeah, she did. Having never been that way before at all. Because the week before, she'd done lots of Sweethearts and Babe, hasn't she, a bit? And this week, she said something about a homegirl. You've probably got it written down, haven't you?
She said throwing shade on my homegirl, didn't she? In relation to Sabrina's attitude to Alice.
Yeah, that was it. I'm not letting some... Oh, yeah. She said giving shade as well, not throwing shade.
Because I know there was the giving me daggers expression that Alice used. Are you familiar with the giving me evils expression?
Yes.
Okay. It's not just a Bristolian thing then?
No, don't think so. I think it took everyone by surprise that she almost sort of said blood at the end of it. And Twitter were like, what's going on? Why is she suddenly speaking in this way?
I personally can't wait for her fan cam reactions when she appears on Felpsham Town Fan TV on YouTube. She's going to be dynamite.
Is that a dig at Arsenal TV?
No.
Oh, I thought it was.
Well, it's a dig at the greater universe of fan TV of football teams. I tend to find that I don't watch any related to my own team, but I watch all of the other ones if there's been a bad result, because I just find them absolutely fantastic.
Yeah.
So back to that place, Ambridge.
Yeah.
We started the week at Bridge Farm with Tom, Pat and Tony.
Yes, we did, with her official birthday. She had about 5 birthdays, didn't she? As if she's the queen. It was her 70th as well. And, does everyone get a bathroom cabinet for their 70th birthday nowadays? I'm really looking forward to that.
They're really not reacting. I mean, they're just... All right, Tom and Natasha are appalling, okay? Tom in particular. Mm-hmm. Give Natasha a little bit of a pass because, like, her character, there are much more likable elements of it.
Yeah.
Tom, I got nothing. And they're really getting on Tony and Pat's nerves living in the house. And some people just aren't good with having guests in the house. And these guys are not guests. Yeah, Tom may be their son, but they've moved in and they've dealt with it appallingly, haven't they? Pretty much everything they've done Pat and Tony then go and bitch about, and
Yeah.
we have to hear them bitching about it. And then that's why I was quite relieved it all came out this week, because there was that, he bought the bathroom cabinet because he'd obviously picked up on the fact that the army of creams and whatever else it was that Natasha had loaded up in the bathroom was cluttering. Then Pat had the nerve to say, "Oh, I wasn't complaining." I was like, yes, you bloody were. We've been listening to you complain all last week. What are you talking about? Then he's laying on this massive breakfast for them. Well, for her in particular, wasn't it? Like fruit, yogurt, croissant, pancakes, chicken katsu, I think he had there as well. And then Tony comes in and was like, "So do I get any breakfast too?" And I was waiting for them both to go like, "No, fuck off."
Yeah. Nobody likes you. Shut up.
Yeah, and then Tom goes out and she's like, "Can I just get muesli?" So I was like, "Oh, can you not just like anything that they're doing for you?" And that hurts me to say that, because Tom is annoying, and I would hate him fussing over me in my house. But it's like, that's why I was very relieved.
Yeah, because Pat started to, because obviously on someone's birthday, it is lovely to make them a breakfast, isn't it? And treat them nicely. I thought that was fair enough. It's just, unfortunately, he's been fussing around the whole time and getting on the nerves. So it came at a bad point, really, her birthday celebrations. But she started to say, didn't she, I try to do the vacuuming and you do something else. And he was like, "You don't even like housework. Why are you complaining about that?" And I try to make a simple omelette. And you think, at that moment when there was omelette wars, why aren't you just saying something to your son? It's really bizarre that at no point do they confront these gripes at the moment that they're occurring, considering they're actually related to each other.
One of the things that can never be misread if someone doesn't want you in the kitchen fussing or doing something at that time. If you decide, I mean, I'm much better, but I never used to like people like fussing around in the kitchen when I was working. But in terms of someone cooking you something they don't want, no, you would just say, wouldn't you? And then there was that whole point. I mean, we know Pat doesn't like a bath. That's come out, isn't it? She considers that stagnating in hot water.
Maybe that's why she's got loads and loads of things in her bathroom cabinet, because she doesn't like bathing. So she's got loads of scented potions for herself. In the bathroom cabinet, poor old Tony, he's got the bottom shelf, which just has shaving foam and a razor.
Yes, and some gentle warming cream, but we won't talk about that.
And Pat was like, they didn't even ask if we liked it. Yeah, maybe buy a bathroom cabinet, but don't present it as if it's a gift.
I know. I mean, have you ever had somebody try to build flat pack furniture in your hallway on your birthday and consider that a treat?
No. And if anyone started to do that, they would have short shrift, I'm telling you. Because he wouldn't listen to that, would he? She was like, no, everyone's coming for lunch soon. It's like, oh, it'll be done by then. It was absolutely ridiculous.
What did we think about the stumble in the hallway, which then turned out to be such a big deal that they had to go to a hospital for the scan?
God, oh, yeah, that was another ridiculous thing. When I was doing the tweet along for that episode, we've said this before, when you're doing the tweet along and listening at the same time, you miss things. Well, I had imagined that the bathroom cabinet fell onto
I saw that. I was like, what's Keri have I missed something there?
No, but quite a few other people, I've said loads, but it was quite a few, thought the same. So, it just shows that when you're distractedly doing things, whether it's tweeting along or, I don't know, making dinner or God knows what people do at 7 o'clock each evening. But yeah, I thought he'd shoddily put the sodding cabinet up and it had fallen on her. And I was talking to Jeremy, my mate, as you've met him, haven't you, in Porto, about it. And he was like, what are you talking about? Pat and Tom were in front of the bathroom cabinet talking about it and Natasha fell in the hallway. It's like, oh, I need to listen to that again.
So you thought they were all in the bathroom and Natasha, without saying anything, had crawled under the bathroom cabinet in front of them and waited for it to fall on her?
No, that's what Jeremy said. But no, I didn't really realise that Pat and Tom were in the bathroom when they were talking, which is pathetic because they were literally saying, look, it's nicely on the wall. But again, I was barely paying attention while I was doing the tweet along. So
I've now got this comedy image of Natasha getting into the bathroom cabinet and the cabinet falling down the stairs. I don't know why.
Yeah, I mean, we know why Tom's extra twitchy about something perhaps happening to the baby.
Yes, of course.
But it was a bit alarmist, wasn't it? I mean, it's probably the size of a baked bean or 2 baked beans.
She basically walked into the handrail, didn't she? Did I miss?
No, it was a hall. Oh, what did they call it? Hall stand. She tripped over some tools and the hall stand grazed her.
Okay, what is a hall stand?
I believe it to be...
Clean answers only, Keri.
Yeah. I bought a hall tree, and I think it might be similar not that long ago, which is, it's like a sort of... Mine is a metal framey thing. It's rather nice, white.
Oh, I have exactly one of those. I have one right behind me. Making my little soundproof fort.
And you put... you hang your coats on it and put your shoes on the bottom shelfy bits and that kind of thing. I believe it to be that.
That's what I imagined when I said hat stand. I meant that. So that's what she wanted. Anyway, it was all fine, but I didn't realize. I mean, I'm not a medical man. I haven't had children. I didn't realize that 9 weeks the baby is protected by Elvis.
Yes. Yeah, that's what happens to all of us, Matthew. Even you were protected by Elvis.
A lot of Welsh people do try to claim some kind of connection with Elvis, don't they? Because they say, really, it should be Elvis Presley. So I don't know if that's... I'm sure I haven't made that up. I'm sure I've had
Pafwelly. Was Shakin' Stevens Welsh? Or is he West Country?
No, I think he's Welsh.
You see, that's the Welsh Elvis. I used to like him. God knows why. Oh, and then they had the scan, didn't they? Brought home the news. Pat was very frantically worrying, trying to ring the phone that had been switched off. Tony was calming her down.
Well, Tony was just trying to whip up loads of hate about Hazel, going like, she's mental in the head, isn't she, Pat? And Pat was just like, Tony, I just can't do this right now.
Yeah, I don't have the bandwidth or something, she said, didn't she? And in they came and said, because Tony twigged it was twins and Pat didn't, because they said both of them are fine. And she was like, I was really worried about you, Natasha. I was like, no, not Natasha. There are 2 beings.
Yes, one of the first times Tony was quicker off the mark than Pat, wasn't it?
Yes. Yeah. And then they showed the scan and I was thinking, it's going to be a sausage.
Yes.
And a credit card or something. And then it was like, oh, what will they call twins?
I reckon Rob and Phil.
I thought Shenton and Cooler, possibly. Or Leddy and Frilly.
I know, it's just, what is it with the twins in this place? Yeah, they'd have to do a little mashup of the other ones, yeah. Shenton's good though.
Yeah, it's quite nice, isn't it?
Kenton Shula, that was in a Britpop band, wasn't it?
Is that Cooler Shaker?
That's it, yeah.
Wasn't he someone famous?
Hayley Mills' son.
That's it, yeah. One-hit wonders, weren't they?
I think I saw them live at Ashton Court Festival in Bristol.
I think I saw them.
Yeah, well, I mean, sometimes you have to be told you've been at a party or a festival, don't you? So.
Well, hey. Well, yeah, very pertinent.
So that all nicely rounded off the fact that Pat and Tony had been quite foul, and now it all seems that they're going to be... Well, Tom's still trying to get out, isn't he? He went cap in hand to Hazel at the end, but there is we'll come back round to Hazel, but there is a mystery tenant.
There is a mystery tenant. I mean, Tom went nuts, didn't he? It was really odd because, I mean, it's not ideal, really, is it? The flat above the shop with the treacherous stairs.
You're obsessed, aren't you?
I am. Something please happen with those bastard stairs.
I reckon Jim's there with a lever and it turns into a slide.
Yeah. With twins, especially if there's ever, if they're still in the flat with a buggy, the double buggy that he's waving around in front of Peggy's face.
Yeah, he's not thought this through, has he?
No, not really. It was just like a hot-headed reaction to like, we needn't have been evicted, so I'm going to go and shout at you.
Yeah, he went storming out and Peggy's like, what about the Prosecco? Oh, yeah. Dear. And I thought the next thing you'd hear would be like, pop, glug, 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 glug.
Who do you think the mystery tenant is? There's a few possibles, isn't there, flying around?
Stella's been looking for a place in Ambridge, isn't she?
Yeah. I think people think it could be Rob.
Oof. Yeah, that did cross my mind. Well, it ain't Mike. He's off back to Birmingham to eat a lot of salad.
Yeah, he just eats olive oil spread nowadays, doesn't he? Sort of by the By the spoonful.
Before you
out of the
say
tub.
anything, this is olive oil spread. I've had 17 of these today, so my cholesterol should be right down.
Maybe Blake has got housing benefit and he's moving in or something.
Oh, we'd wish, but the actor
I know.
poo-pooed that, didn't he? I think that was a big loss, getting rid of him. But
Same. Any other homeless people or people looking to leave their partners or...
Gavin gets off early for good behaviour.
Ooh, yeah. Josh wouldn't bother, would he? No.
No.
It's going to be someone we know, I reckon.
All you want to know is who's going to be falling down the stairs, Keri. Let's face it.
I mean, there's still time for Hazel to fall, isn't there? Unless she's departed already.
I reckon she's a goner. I think that was her signing off tonight. Not a word wasted from Hazel this week, though.
Oh,
Everything she said
tremendous.
was dynamite, wasn't it?
Yeah. Did Hazel describe Ambridge accurately?
Well, I
She
tell you
did in
what,
part.
she certainly described the Bridge Farm birthday party, right? When she said, I don't want to come to your poxy party anyway.
Yeah. Yeah, that was good. What did she was like, you've all decided I'm some evil tyrant. You seem to think Ambridge is yours and yours alone. Yes, they do. Makes no difference whose name is on the deed. She's very obsessed with deeds. I don't need to be with people who are so petty and mean-spirited. The same goes for everyone else in this foul, nasty village.
Yep. And Peggy was there. I don't recognise this description. I was thinking, you've done loads of diabolical things in the past. Just ask Tony. There was that nice bit where she said to Tony, you probably wish I'd never moved here. And Peggy was like, that's not true. And she went, what about you, Tony? He went, well...
Yeah. That was really good. And of course, Peggy doesn't recognise that as a description of Ambridge. All the people that are awful are her bloody relatives.
Exactly.
Yeah.
She came with an open heart and started evicting people.
Yeah, she's been amazing. There was another bit she said as well, wasn't there? I loved this thing about nostalgia being dangerous. It makes you forget what a parochial, self-satisfied, two-bit place Ambridge really is.
Yeah, and as she's delivering all these little bombs, you've just got Peggy going, oh dear, oh no. It's just,
yeah.
We're just sat here. I was kind of sitting along this going, yep.
Mm-hmm. And then it was kind of juxtaposed with Phoebe chatting with Mike, wasn't it? Where she was kind of saying how Ambridge has this pull on you and do you miss it? And he was like, pull pork. But it was all very kind of romanticized at that moment, wasn't it? How it's a very special place to him and to Phoebe, and so that was very opposite to Hazel's experience.
Yeah, I think I was shouting "rent the flat" at the radio at that point. But they were having that little walk around the rewilding site, weren't they? And it was quite touching. He said he thought he'd live there, stay there with Betty and live there for the rest of his days.
Yeah.
So that was quite sad. That was quite touching. But I'm happy to know that the whole thing with Vicky isn't over, because that was a little bit of suspicion. But that didn't really make sense because they'd been in Ambridge for the Christmas break, hadn't they? So
yeah, it was good when Phoebe reminded us that you saw them, they were so besotted. Oh, thank God for that.
Yeah, this is when somehow Susan had got it into her head that Mike was running a marathon. That happened off mic, didn't it? I don't have any memory of Mike telling Susan he was doing couch to 5K or whatever it was.
Yeah, Susan got the wrong end of that stick and then told everyone about it. Yeah, that was funny, wasn't it? The marathon thing. Obviously a deep fried marathon, everyone was saying.
Yeah. I mean, maybe he was told Eddie and Neil over curry, and they got it skew-whiff, came back and told Susan, and then, it was like a game of telephone. She ended up saying, oh yeah, he's going to run the London Marathon.
Dressed as a sausage roll. I really wanted to go to Hollerton Balti House. Do you know, I was talking to my friend yesterday about the fact that we're planning to go out for dinner in February together. And we were saying we haven't been out to an Indian to eat. We always have them, delivered. And wouldn't it be great to go to an Indian restaurant and have a curry? Haven't done it for years. There's something lovely, isn't there, about the thick white tablecloths, those sizzling silver dishes, the music, the red velvet flock wallpaper. Do they even have that? It's more modern nowadays, isn't it?
Well, the one that we always used to go to in Bristol was called the Sheesh Mahal,
Mm.
which is on the junction of Cheltenham Road and Zetland Road in Bristol, if anyone knows Bristol. And that was real old school. Like, you walked in and there was the reception area where you sat by the bar on little tables, and you read the menu before you go out, and then you go into these little booths.
Lovely.
That has been an institution for years, I think since the 70s. And the last summer that I was home, which must have been 2019, we walked up there and it had closed permanently. And it was just this, it was like well, Peter loves a vacuum, as he said last week. But,
Don't mention the V word.
Don't mention the V word, yeah. Yeah, Peter's anti-vax. No, it was just staring at this into the abyss of like, why is the Sheesh Mahal not open?
It's awful when things like that happen, isn't it?
I know. Sheesh Mahal, by the way, translates as Crystal Palace.
Doesn't.
It does.
Brighton are playing Palace in 25 minutes.
I know.
Gosh.
But anyway, so there is a far more modern place called Calcutta, which has just opened up the road, which is really, really good. But it's like walking into a school classroom, Formica tables, everything. Right. Like I liked being in the booth because people obviously a lot of people go very late at night to curry houses after they've been in the pub, and they rather forget that when they're in a booth that the person in the next booth can hear absolutely everything that they're saying.
Out of sight, out of mind. They just
me and my friend Andy and stuff, we've heard some absolute gems in the Sheesh Mahal, like two blokes talking, like discussing their love life and stuff like that. It's very, very good.
And then they emerge and they're people you know.
There was one wonderful incident once with a Freshers Week, newly arrived Bristol University students, and there was the alpha male at the table, and we could just hear him saying, "Look, I know you say this is the hottest curry on the menu. Could you make it hotter for me, please?" And there's a couple of people at the table going, "Are you sure? Are you absolutely sure?" He's like, yes. And we were just like, oh, what a dick.
Yeah.
And then about 20 minutes later, or about 30 minutes later, we were just busy in conversation, and we suddenly heard this deathly rattling coming from the other side of the booth. And this girl said to him, "What's wrong? Is it too hot?" And he was like, "No, it's too much garlic."
Oh, as if.
I was like, get a mango lassi, mate. Accept your mistake and move on. But R.I.P. Sheesh Mahal, Bristol institution.
Well, I think we're going to the Hove Tandoori anyway in February. My favourite one ever is the Karachi Social Club in Bradford, which is none of those things that I've just described, really. It's more like the Formica tables that you were talking about, but old school. There's no cutlery. It's amazing.
Well, you just stick your face into the bowl and start licking.
You eat it with chapatis.
Ah, okay.
Yeah, which is what I do anyway. If I get a takeaway, I don't have cutlery and I don't eat the rice. I have used the chapati to scoop up the meaty bits. Anyway, this is nothing to do.
No, it isn't. Basically, we've turned into Mike.
We have. No, but I bet they would. Can you imagine going to the Hollerton, Balti, what's it, with Eddie, Mike, and
Neil. Again,
amazing.
Like I tweeted on Sunday during the omnibus that them going to the Feathers would be a banger, but then going to a Balti house with them.
Yeah, and he hadn't been for 10 years. I hope he still went. He did, didn't he? He stormed out and went to that when he had a row with Roy, I think.
He did go, didn't he?
Yeah, good.
Maybe he just had like the salad, but I don't think so.
Just that bag of onions that nobody eats. Pip and Josh were embroiled in the poor Mike doing a marathon thingy bungalow situation, weren't they?
Yeah, well, he had to bear witness to yet another entitled brat-off between the two of them. The thing about Josh is he's so self-assured, and I don't understand where that comes from. You know, that he was sure that Mum and David and Ruth were going to, I nearly called them Mum and Dad then.
Oh!
David and Ruth were going to fork out for this survey, and he was like, and the bungalow's a foregone conclusion. Really starts to grate with me after a while.
Yeah, he's hard to like, but he's way, way easier to like than Pip. For me, anyway. And part of me actually quite admires that he comes up with these notions and ideas. He's quite creative, isn't he, about how to forge ahead with various bits and bobs. Obviously, much of it is, self-obsessed, but I don't know, it sounded like a reasonable proposition. Ruth and David turned it down.
Yeah, it was all about tree planting and then getting payments for reducing carbon emissions, is it?
Well done.
I know that because a lot of people were doing that around where my dad is living. So
Okay.
if you can prove that you're actually making use of the land to produce new trees, you do
Yeah.
get some kind of either a subsidy or a payment, I think.
Oh, that was it, because the geophys archaeologist called Terry
Yes, Terry.
Dactyl. Was it? He, because they're from olden times, aren't they? That's delaying the application for the grant, isn't it?
Yeah, he wants to, and presumably that's all going to get held up when Leonard's time capsule fucks the machine up.
Yes. Oh God, I can't even remember what they put in that. Can you? It was some really god awful things. Wasn't it?
Didn't he put in a photo of some weird thing? He took a photo of the nurse on his phone that gave him his vaccination or something.
Oh, yeah.
Or did that happen?
It's probably just a really sort of zoomed in picture of her tits or something as she bent over.
As I'm saying that, I'm thinking, I'm not sure that happened, but I think he was
it did. It did. There
But
was a vaccination thing.
Well, that's it. That's why I thought it was pre-vaccination. But anyway, maybe that did happen.
Wasn't there also a picture of
Him and Jill getting it on in the caravan?
No, what's his face dressed as a daffodil?
Oh no, because they dug that up, Justin. It was a very unhappy time.
Such a normal programme, this, isn't it?
Yeah. Well, yeah, there was the daffodil picture, but then they dug that up and got it back. They exhumed the time capsule, Lillian and Justin, and David caught them red-handed.
How could I forget? Yes, true. Yeah, but Mike really shouted at them, didn't he? Went, enough! You are young and healthy and you shouldn't be bickering and life is too short and blah, blah, blah. And it calmed them right down, didn't it? I quite enjoyed that.
Yeah, because at one point, Pip thought he was taking her side, didn't she?
Oh, yeah.
He interjected a little bit earlier and she was like, yeah, Mike. And he was actually just getting sick to the back teeth of both of them.
Oh, that was it. Yeah, she said, and what about Mike? How do you think he feels about this? Having painted the entire house the wrong colour.
That bit where he said, are you going to bicker into your 40s, your 50s, your 60s? And I was like, yeah. Probably they are. And we'll be sat here listening to it.
Yeah, exactly. There won't be any bloody programme without that going on, will there? It was, they did make up and Pip even said she quite liked the muted Flint.
Yeah, she referred to him as the business brain of Borsetshire. I thought, that wouldn't go too far.
No, but we were all laughing at that.
Didn't he rent a load of farm equipment that was used in ram raids and then he pissed off to Bali while that was all happening?
Yeah, he's quite exciting, really, isn't he?
Well, in terms of, he's not Ben, that's for sure.
Oh, and speaking of business and work and what have you, Alice, on Sunday, I found it hilarious that she was like, I just don't know what to do with myself. I've got so much time. I don't want to stare at walls all day thinking what a failure I am. I want to work whilst thinking what a failure I am and not look after Martha much.
Well, does she ever have Martha? It doesn't feel like she does. I guess we just don't get to hear those moments, do we?
No, she has got an enormous amount of time on her hands, and I think she should be spending time with Martha, even if it's with another person around, because obviously these are quite important bonding times, aren't they?
Yeah, I mean, Brian was very reluctant for her to do anything connected to home farm again, but he did go some way to setting up this meet with Stella.
Yeah.
And it was quite painful, wasn't it? Stella was really there just saying, yes, and I know all of that. I know it's not about your problems. We just don't have anything. And Alice had that little outburst where she was like, oh, just something, just to make me feel worth it, or I can't remember what she used now. Worth it is the shampoo, isn't it?
Because you're worth it.
Yeah, but in the end, and just to help her self-esteem, Stella was like, well, I'll give you some unpaid work. And she was like, yeah,
2 mornings a week, unpaid. Yeah, what will it be, I wonder?
What's happened to that family? You've got Adam bloody fruit picking and putting on a hairnet in the yogurt factory. And now you've got Alice is going to like poo pick for £0 around home farm.
She could do some voluntary work elsewhere, couldn't she? That's slightly more worthy, perhaps. That would be good. Still think she should end up at the stables somehow.
I think that's written in the stars, don't you?
Yeah. But I could see Stella's point, because it was like, well, we've got no money to hire anyone. There isn't actually any work to be done. And why should we just give family members work willy-nilly just because they fancy it? It's not really a good look for the business, I don't think. So she did have a point, I thought. Fair enough. And Brian backed down and said, I shouldn't really have asked. It was an impossible thing to put forward. A lot of people on Twitter were slating Brian and saying, oh, emotionally blackmailing Stella into giving Alice a job. And I know I'm biased and everything, but I honestly didn't think he was. I just thought he was a bit desperate and thinking, God, I need to help her if I can.
I think he was just thinking aloud, and that just came out anyway, and Stella had that change of heart. I mean, there was that quite touching moment where he said it was a real battle for him to forgive Alice himself, so he can understand why a lot of other people wouldn't have forgiven her. And that was when Stella started to have a change of heart. What do we think about Ed, his reaction to Alice being on the farm? Right to clear that up ASAP?
I think so. Yeah, I think it's always good to be as transparent as you can. And if Stella doesn't know about that event happening on her patch, as it were, in the workplace, I think that was fair enough of him to do that, really.
Yeah, it's damage limitation, isn't it? I'd forgotten about what a big deal that was at the time. And there was that moment where, there's that whole thing about dumping wheat in the wrong place, wasn't there?
Yes.
That had gone into the back of my mind. I'd forgotten.
Yeah, because he got fired and rehired by Brian because of that error. Yeah.
But there was that moment where Ed said, and Emma's forgiven her. And I was like, oh, I won't be so sure about that, mate. she might have told you she's forgiven her, but I doubt she has.
Yeah, and I think Alice is a very unpredictable person. So due to that fact alone, it's wise to say, look, this actually happened. It's not that long ago, really, is it? And if she is unpredictable, what the hell else could happen? So, yeah, I think that's fine. And actually, Alice didn't kick off about the fact that he'd said that, did she?
No, but the next time we heard her, it was her saying to Brian, well, it wasn't much of a job anyway. She basically got sacked.
You can stuff your poxy job in this village.
I think she lasted about as long as I did into my telesales job in 1992 during the summer holidays, which is like literally walked in, looked around, just went, nope. Just walked back.
Oh, did you?
Wow, no, I think I did about half a morning at this one place. I wasn't made for it, really. I mean, I rang someone, and one of the first things they said was, oh, I'm in the middle of breakfast. And I just said, the guy who said, try to be chatting. I was like, what are you having? Did not go down well at all.
Or like, yeah, I don't blame you not wanting to speak to me. Yeah, I think, Ed he was fine. It is self-preservation. And I think Stella believed him. That was good to hear. He did say something like, well, you see blokes getting accused of all sorts nowadays. I thought you didn't need to say that.
Yeah, that was a bit clunky, wasn't it? But in terms of him putting his own side of it, yeah, I think that's fair. I thought he was, I don't want to be unfair to Ed. I thought he was almost wandering into not all men territory at that point.
Yeah.
Watch that.
Retreat.
But in terms of him worrying about that happening again in the future, I could totally see where he was coming from. I know we said Hazel, she was dynamite this episode. I did not like what she had to say about Jim. Poor old Jim. He'd basically told her point blank, I'm not carrying your shopping up the stairs. And then she had to point out to him that there was nobody in the shop. And then he lugged it up there for her and then threw shade at her, as I understand.
He did, yeah.
Just threw shade at our homegirl, Hazel.
Yeah, you can imagine the scene, can't you? Because she was saying, I'd have told him it would only take 2 minutes. And you can imagine her really hoitily demanding that it happen. A twat. Who we quite like. But yeah, it was a shame that he actually did do that in the end. Oh, what about Hazel's gift voucher to Pat? That was good. That was genius.
As if you need to be taught anything about cheese.
That was proper trolling, wasn't it?
Yeah, and there was that moment later where they were at Peggy's and she went, well, you might find that you even like them more than your own cheese, and Tony went, oh, we might find that ours is far superior. And she went, oh, well, anything's possible. Basically meaning like, I've tried your cheese from the village shop and it sucks.
That ain't happening.
No, I'd just eat all the cheese and not attend the tasting.
Yeah, exactly.
You can just say you went, or you had an internet problem.
Yes. Oh, she will be missed, I think.
Yeah, but
although, like you said before we started recording, her voice is quite grating at times, isn't it?
It's very grating, as you've said before. It's a little bit. Well, you find it Thatcher-esque, don't you?
Yeah, that's never a good thing.
There was some debate today as to whether Liz Truss is having voice coaching, much like MT did back in the day.
Oh,
because
really?
They played 2 back-to-back clips of her from about 2 years ago and today, and she sounded very much like this. But then the guy afterwards was like, that might just be the audio, a problem with the audio that's making her sound like that. But yeah, she does seem to be going to a lower register. So it'd be interesting to see if that's part of her master plan.
Yeah, because Elizabeth Holmes did that as well. You know, have you heard the Dropout podcast about the woman?
You were telling me that you've been listening to it, and I saw the trial ended, didn't it? Or at least they came to the sentencing. This completely passed me by, all of this. I'm going to have to get into it because I don't really know the story behind it.
Oh, it's amazing. I mean, it's quite a chunk of podcast to listen to, but well worth it if you can be asked, about her just fooling everyone into giving her millions and millions of dollars.
Was it like a Ponzi scheme?
No, she said she'd invented this device that would, instead of, if you had to have blood tests, instead of having vials and vials of blood taken from you, which I don't mind, actually, it's fine, but some people don't like that. It was a machine that would take a pinprick or 2 of your blood and do, like, I'm pretty sure at one point she said up to 1,000 different tests. It was insane. But actually they had no such device. It couldn't do that at all. They were sending off any tests that they did do to a third party company. But she changed her voice to a very much deeper voice and started wearing sort of black turtleneck jumpers and trying to be all cool. It was a shame because obviously she was going to be the youngest multi-billionaire in America, but unfortunately by nefarious means, although she has not been sentenced yet. Anyway, it's fascinating.
So the machine itself or the technology didn't exist?
No, it didn't.
Okay.
And she knew it didn't at points where she was saying that it had been used in the military, and people actually believed her. And obviously to do with a health device, there was people relying on that for results for all manner of different illnesses. Yes, it's horrendous, really.
Wow, that's really bad. I mean, as a concept, that sounds like something that you'd get stuck to, someone you get stuck chatting to in a chill out room in the early 90s at a club. Yeah, I've invented this machine, right? And it's yeah, you wouldn't expect it to go that far. Wow. Oh, yeah.
But it's opened up a really interesting debate about Silicon Valley and tech innovations, that there are points along the process where you haven't actually got the thing, you've just got the ideas. But the thing about her was she lied about having the device. You can sell an idea, and if someone's willing to give money for that, if you haven't pretended you've got the thing, that's fine. But yeah,
this is where intellectual property law comes in as well, doesn't it?
The people most likely to follow her route in the Archers are probably Josh, spinning loads of bullshit.
Yeah, eggs that give people the shits. That's his Elizabeth Holmes moment, isn't it?
Yeah. Or maybe Tom or Natasha with their sort of business schemes that are a bit harebrained.
Yeah, Natasha's on her 700th credit card, so yeah, I could see that as well. Well, we don't con anyone.
We don't, never knowingly.
What we do ask occasionally is that you share our podcast. Leave us a nice review on iTunes, a little 5-star one. Really helps if you say something nice about the pod as well, because that it's nice to get a 5-star review, but it's nice to have some lovely words attached to it. So if you find the time to do that. If people want to find us on Twitter, where do they find us, Keri?
At the Cider Shed Pod on Twitter. And there have been some fresh reviews coming through. So thank you so much, whoever you are, because it's always a bit cryptic as to who the people are who've left them. But our call to arms is bearing fruit. And can we have some more fruit, please?
Much like Mike. Yeah.
It
was all the fruit. We have an Instagram. That's the same as Twitter, at the Cider Shed Pod. We have a Facebook group, which is the Cider Shed Podcast. And the email is hello@thecidershed.com. Any suggestions, any ideas, any thoughts, or questions you've got for the podcast, you can get us there, or across any of you can DM slide into any of those apps and let us know. Keri, you're going to watch Brighton now, right?
I am, yeah. Hopefully we can stuff Crystal Palace. It starts in 10 minutes. That's really good timing, isn't it?
Are you playing at Palace?
I don't think we are.
I've certainly got stuffed at the Sheesh Mahal in the past. So I'm almost terrified to look at the state of my fantasy football team because I've just neglected it.
Oh, God.
Well, there's just so many people injured now, isn't it? They're saying the North London derby might not happen.
Oh, really? On Sunday?
Yeah, that's a bummer, isn't it?
It is a bummer. I think we can do them. Yeah, Arsenal scraped a draw at Liverpool last night with 10 men. That was a strange game.
Yes, I messaged you when Xhaka put that world-class challenge in, didn't I?
Look, a boot to the chest is fine.
Oh, in the olden days, that's fine. Yeah, you just carry on. I mean, in Copa Libertadores, which is the South American equivalent of the Champions League, I mean, it's basically Gladiator.
Oh.
They're just maiming each other in that thing. That would have been an absolutely fine challenge in that.
It wasn't, the contact wasn't bad, actually. And he was looking up in the sky at something.
It was one of those things where I know there were multiple slow motion replays, but when I watched it in real time, it felt like slow motion because I was like, I can see exactly what he's about to do here.
Yes.
And when he did it, I was like, oh, yeah. No.
Oh, speaking of high kicks, Lee was mentioned but never appeared, did he? Our lovely Lee.
We were robbed of Lee and Jim this week.
We were. That was a shame, wasn't it?
He was coming over with the boys, wasn't he?
Yes.
And Tom was very stressed that he had to get the tools out of the way before Lee arrived, probably because Lee would probably start trying to build things in the house and fucking it right up.
Oh, yeah, he was shit, wasn't he? I forgot about that.
I didn't know it was your birthday, Pat. I'm just going to paint a massive arachnid on the ceiling.
Oh, yeah, come on, Brighton, then.
Yeah. Good luck, Brighton. I'll have a little listen in on the radio while I'm pottering around in the kitchen, and I will speak to you next week.
Yeah. See you next week, everybody. I hope Peter's had a lovely time tonight.
Yeah. We'll have to get his feedback on Highlander the musical next week.
He can sing us a few numbers, maybe.
Yeah, which means I'm going to have to write those during the week and then force him to sing them.
Do it.
See you, everyone.
Bye.
Bye.
Hang on.